And so we begin. We have Unit 10, Day 1. Welcome back from Thanksgiving. Okay, notes. Solve for y and graph. Okay. Everything we've done, that we're going to do on this, we've already done before. Okay, so you need to keep two things in mind, really. Two big things. You got y by itself. Okay, watch out for your negative signs. Those are the two big things. Okay, so as we start this first problem, is y by itself? Well, no, it isn't. Okay, we have this 5 right in front of us. We want y by itself, so we're going to have to divide by 5. So we're going to actually have to divide everything by 5. So 6 divided by 5 is, well, that doesn't really reduce. So 6 over 5 x. And then 30 divided by 5, that actually does go in evenly. So we get plus 6. So we have y equals 6/5 x plus 6. So the slope, now remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, now the y-intercept is really a point 0, comma b, but for these intended purposes, since we were asked for b, we're actually going to just list that number there. So m is 6/5, b is 6, and so that equation, as we already wrote up there, y equals 6/5 x plus 6. Okay, for the second problem, we want to get y by itself. Well, is there anything keeping us from getting y by itself? There really isn't, except that this is written in a little bit reverse form here. So we want y equals something, so why don't we just switch that around? Y equals 3x minus 21. 3 is still there, minus 21 still there, but the equals y. Okay, so here we are. There's our equation. Y equals 3x minus 21. So what's the slope in this case? So y equals mx, so 3 is our m. 3x plus b. Well, we don't actually have a plus there, so it's minus 21. Okay. Now the next problem we're going to see is probably one of the most common ones. This is actually in standard form right here. Okay, so standard form was something times x plus something times y equals some other number. So it's a more complicated one that we have, but we're going to have this pretty often. It's not really that hard. We've done it before, so it's no big deal. What do we want by itself? Okay, certainly we know y equals mx plus b. We want y by itself. So in this case, first we want to get minus 3y by itself. Okay, so I need to get rid of this 2x. This is a positive 2x. I'm going to do the opposite and subtract 2x from both sides. And as always, these two form a 0 pair. Okay, 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 pair, so we just get negative 3y minus 3y over here. Now over here, these two are like oil and water. Okay, they just kind of, you can try to put 12 and minus 2x together. Try to put them together, but they're just going to come apart. Okay, so we get negative 2x plus 12. Negative, so I said watch out for the negatives, right? Negative 2, positive 12, positive 12. Now it's just like number 1. Okay, we need to divide by negative 3 to get y by itself. But divide everything by negative 3. So negative 2 divided by negative 3 is a positive 2/3. Negatives cancel out in a sense. Plus 12 minus 3. Okay, so positive divided by negative is negative, so negative 4. Okay, now I left something off there. I don't often do that, but I did, as you probably will. Y equals mx plus b. The x does not cancel out, so there it is. So our slope is just plain old 2/3. It's y equals mx, whatever's in front of the x, minus 4. So b is minus 4, which, by the way, means our y-intercept is 0, negative 4. And so there's our equation. Y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Okay. Number 4. We want y by itself. That's the thing we always need to remember. We want y by itself. So I have to get rid of this 6 first. Okay, so it's a minus 6. I'm going to do the opposite. Add 6. Okay, so the real question is, we know these are a 0 pair. The real question is, what is this going to be over here? Well, negative x, negative 1x, and plus 6 Can we put those two together? Not exactly. Okay, so they become like oil and water. They just kind of separate. Minus 1x plus 6. So you can put them together, but they separate themselves automatically. Okay, now we want y by itself still, so another step, divide by 3. Now the place where a lot of people lose things here is we have to make sure we, and I've said this a couple times, but divide both of these by 3. It's really the distributive property, kind of in disguise. But negative 1 divided by 3, if you type that in your calculator, you get y equals negative 1/3 x. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so plus 2. So our slope is that number in front of x, negative 1/3, and b is positive 2. Okay. Number 5, I want y by itself, so I'm going to box in the 5y. Subtract 2x. Looks like negative 2x plus 19. 5y. Divide by 5. And I get y equals negative 2/5 x plus 19 over 5. Now, unfortunately for us, those do not reduce, so negative 2/5 is our slope, and our y-intercept, our b, is 19 over 5. All right. Last of this kind. Number 6. Can we get y by itself? Not exactly. Well, we can actually. Let's see, how could we get just that box by itself? Divide by negative 4. Just make sure we do it on everything. So y, I'm bringing that over here, equals positive 3/4 x minus 3. So there's our equation. 3. Slope is 3/4. B is minus 3. Continuing from where we left off, write each equation in slope-intercept form. State the slope and y-intercept, and then graph. Okay. So to begin with, we want y by itself again. Okay, we still want y by itself. So in this case, I'm going to box in my negative 3y. Now I need to get rid of this plus 6, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And let's see, we get, I'm gonna write this a little differently, switch it around. I'm gonna write the negative 3y over here. Okay, now over here I'm gonna get 6x minus 6. Okay, so is y by itself yet? Not quite. We need to get rid of this negative 3, so divide by negative 3. Okay, negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, so we get just y there. 6x divided by negative 3 gives us a negative 2, with an x beside it. And negative 6 minus 6 divided by negative 3 is a positive 2. All right, so our slope is negative 2. Our b is 2. So as a point, that's 0, 2. So when we start graphing here, we're going to start at 0, 2. Okay, start there at 0, 2. Now since our slope is negative 2, we're going to go negative 2 over 1. So down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. And I can keep doing that to my heart's content. And then I can go back the other way, up 2 to the left 1, 2 to the left 1, up to the left 1. Now the thing I need to make sure and check here is that I do have a negative slope, so my graph should look like it's going down and to the right. Okay, so this does look like that, right? Down to the right. Okay, so my line doesn't have to be perfect as long as my points are. That's why I like to plot lots of them on there. Now, negative 1y. So this is when the x is negative 1, what is y? Well, when x is negative 1, I have a point right up here that's negative 1, negative 1, 4. That's on my graph, right? So in this case, y equals 4. Okay, number 8. Negative 2x plus 12 equals negative 4y. Okay, so is y by itself? Not quite. Okay, so let's divide by negative 4 right there. Everything by negative 4. So we're going to get y equals, and let's see, negative 2 divided by negative 4. Okay, stay in focus. Negative 2 divided by negative 4. It's going to be positive, I know. And if I think about reducing this, 2 goes into both those, right? 2 goes into both those. So this is being 1 over 2. 2x. Positive 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. So as far as my slope and my y-intercept here, y equals mx plus b. So m is 1/2, okay, which is up 1 to the right 2. b is negative 3. So I'm going to start at the point 0, negative 3. So 0, negative 3. Always start on my y-axis. Now, slope of 1/2 means I go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Not to be confused with 2 over 1. Down 1 to the left 2. Down 1 to the left 2. Down to the left, down 1 to the left. All right. Now we are given a point right here, x comma negative 6. X comma negative 6. So that means when y is negative 6, I'm looking for a point that's negative 6 right here. So negative 6 on the y is going to be somewhere over, it's going to be kind of line up right here. So this point right here, what is that? Negative 6, negative 6. And so our x is negative 6. All right. Number 9. Again, we want y by itself. So first I've got to box in the 2y in here. I'm going to have to do the opposite here. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. We have another oil and water situation here. These two can't go together. X's, not X's. You can try to put them together, but they just kind of spread themselves out. So we'll get negative 4x plus 2. And then we're going to get 2y over here. So 2y equals negative 4x plus 2. Instead of get y by itself, dividing by 2. So y equals, let's see, that's negative 2x plus 1. So our slope, negative 2. And our b is 1, so our point is 0, negative 1. So 0, or 0, positive 1. 0, positive 1. Negative 2, so that is down 2, and to the right 1. Okay, or up 2, and to the left 1. So we can go up 2 to the left 1. Or we can go down 2 to the right 1. All right. Now, just like we learned in the last unit, you can actually type that in your calculator, negative 2x plus 1, and see that our graph matches. Now, as of right now, we don't really have a good way to check to make sure that we solve this correctly. Eventually, there will be one way we might be able to check some of these, not all of them, but some of them. So 2 comma y. Well, that's 2 comma negative 3 is actually down there. So y is negative 3. So when x is 2, y is negative 3. Okay, number 10. A few things look a little different, but it's not really that much different than what we've already had. Written a little differently, maybe. Okay, so our goal, we have to remember our 2 goals, right? Get y by itself. Remember your negative signs. Okay, so got to make sure we keep up with both those things. So get y by itself. So I want this thing right here, right? Negative 5y by itself. So how many x's do we have right there? What do we have? Just 1, right? Just 1. So it's a 1x. So that's a positive 1. So I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. I have to do it from both sides. Okay, those two 0 pair. So I get negative 5y equals. Now I can try to put these two together, but just like oil and water, they go negative 1x plus 0. I'm going to go ahead and write the plus 0 right there. Okay, you don't actually have to, but bear with me for just a second. You'll see why I do that. When I try to get y by itself here, I'm going to divide by negative 5. And so I get y equals positive 1/5 x plus 0 divided by negative 5, so plus 0. So my b is 0, m is y is 1/5. Okay, so I left that 0 right there because I wanted to clearly see what my y-intercept was. Okay, the y-intercept is 0, so it's 0, comma 0, or the origin. Pardon me. All right, so my slope is 1/5. So that means I can go up 1 and over 5 to the right, or I can go down 1 and to the left 5. Right. Now my last thing to check is 0, comma y. 0, comma, actually 0, comma 0 is on our graph because that's the y-intercept. So y equals 0 when x is 0. And if you notice, I've been using pencil for everything. That's just kind of a habit I have. But when you came in the room, okay, in fact, I'm in the room, back there you could have grabbed a highlighter. Highlighter might be useful to keep up with some of the stuff like what you're getting by itself and that sort of thing. So boxing in. When it comes down to the EOC, you will be able to use a highlighter on the computerized test. So you can use the on-screen highlighter, on-screen pens and stuff, and draw shapes and sort of things if you need to. So you can actually box things in. At some point, we're going to have to get good, though, at looking at a screen and doing work on our paper, because that's how the EOC is going to be. It's all on the computer. So to do your work, you got to do it on paper while you're doing it. So continuing on, we want y by itself still, right? Okay, so number 11 is y by itself. Close, but not quite. All right, so we have a 5y. Okay, so how do we go ahead and divide by 5 on everything? So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we get just y. 15 divided by 5 is 3. There's no x there, so there's not an x here. 2 divided by 5 is 2/5, so we get plus 2/5 x, because there was an x there. Now, we're used to looking at this as y equals mx plus b, right? Right? So this isn't written as y equals mx plus b, is it? This is actually written as y equals b plus mx. Okay, the x and the slope always go together. So our slope is still 2/5. Still 2/5. And our b, our y-intercept, is 3. So it starts at 0, 3 on our graph. So I'll start there. Now, this is a positive 2/5. So we are going to be going up 2 and over 5. Up 2 and over 5. Or we can always go down 2 and to the left 5. It's down 2 to the left 5. And that's actually all the points we can fit on our graph. Let's sketch a line through those. Okay, now the point we're being asked for here is -5 something. So x is -5. Well, that's this axis. So if x is -5, well, we have a point right here at x equals -5, and it is at y equals 1. So -5, 1 is on our graph. So our y, when x is -5, y is 1. Okay. Number 12, another one in standard form. Okay, it's going to keep coming back up. So we want to get y by itself. So I'm going to box in the 2y right here, plus 2y. Actually, everything that's attached to that y. So I've got a plus 8, so I need to do the opposite. So we're going to subtract 8. Subtract 8x. Subtract 8x from both sides. 0 pair. Don't have to worry about that anymore. So we have plus 2y. Now right here we have another oil and water situation. Okay. We have -6, -8x. You can try to put them together all you want, but they're just going to spread out. So we're just going to go, I'm just going to go ahead and write them spread out. -8x minus 6. -8, -6. Y is still not by itself. But we have the easy part down, or the hard part done. Now it's the easy part. We divide by 2, everything by 2. So -8 divided by 2 is -4. So -4x. -6 divided by 2, so -3. So our slope is -4. Y-intercept is -3. So 0, -3 is the point you've got right there. Okay, now I have a slope of -4, which means I'm going to go down 4 to the right one, or up 4 and to the left one. And that's what this means, down to the left or up to the right. So let's go, just go down 4 first. So I'm starting at -3, so -7 over 1. Okay. And let's see, go the other way. Go up 4. 4, so that's 3, so it'll be 1 to the left 1. Up 4 to the left 1. And that's all the points we can get on them, those 4 points. All right, so when x, we don't know what x is, but when y is 1, well, that's on this axis right here. You have a point right there. And so the x right there is -1. So -1, 1 is a point there. So x equals 1 there. Okay, last problem of the day. We started on our assignment. All right, see, we still want y by itself. That's all. Remember, those 2 big things we need to think about. Get y by itself and watch out for negatives, okay? Because those have already come up a couple of times when you're right here with 2 negatives right there. You have to be careful about those. Okay, make sure we don't lose them. Make sure we keep up with them. Should we divide correctly, all that. Okay, so let's see. Right here, we want 3y by itself, I guess, plus 3y. It's a positive 3 right there. So we need to get rid of this plus x right here. We have to do the opposite. Always using the opposites. So in this case, we're going to have a minus x from both sides. Okay. Now, one thing that's kind of important here, I didn't point out yet, but what's in front of that x? How many x's are there? There's just 1x, right? So we're subtracting 1x. Oil and water right here, so we get -1x plus 6, negative x plus 6. And those are 0 pairs, so we get 3y. So to get y by itself, we get to divide by 3. Divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we get left with just one y, or just y. So over here we have -1x divided by 3. I know I'm going to have an x. I have an x here. So -1 divided by 3, does that go in evenly? At first glance, maybe, but no, it doesn't. It's a fraction. The top's bigger, so we get -1 over 3. And over here we have 6 divided by 3. So plus 6, positive 3, so it's going to be positive 2. So our slope, -1/3. B is 2, so our y-intercept is 0, 2. Okay, now our slope is -1/3. So we're going to be going down 1, and over 3, or up 1, and to the left 3. Those are kind of our opposites. That's what negative slope means. So let's go start it at 0, 2, and go down 1 to the right 3. 1 to the right 3. And we can't go any farther that way. So we'll go up 1 to the left 3. Up 1 to the left 3, and that's as far as we can get there. So we get a good 5 points. Sketch a line through. All you need is really 2 for a line, but the more points we can have, the better our graph's going to be, the better sketch will be. All right, so the last thing we're looking for is the point something comma 0. So we want to know when y is 0, what's x? Well, if we look, that's on our x-axis, right? So where y is 0, that's up to this point right here, we have a point 6 comma 0 on our graph. So when y is 0, x is 6. Okay. All right. Now remember those 2 big things I said you need to make sure, remember. Get y by itself. Watch out for your negatives. Okay, so go on. Let's do our assignment, and let's get this done.